Welcome to Wolverine Confidential, MLive's Michigan Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Zuke.
I'm Andrew Kahn, Michigan basketball beat writer.
And I'm Aaron McMann, Michigan football beat writer. Zuke, welcome back. It's been a few weeks.
Been a couple, yeah.
First off, how was your weekend?
Pretty good weekend. Nice weather for first time in a while and able to hit the course for first time in April. First 9 went really well, shot a 39, and we're going to pretend the back 9 didn't happen.
Fair enough.
There's a lot of courses around here. Which one did you play?
Played Fox Hills in Plymouth, the Golden Course, so actually wasn't too bad. Thought it was going to be a little bit moist, a little bit soggy after some rain and snow from the week before, but it was actually pretty good condition.
Carl Spackler, like greenskeeper over there, keeping things humming. Fox Hills.
Oh yeah.
Very nice. Aaron, what did you do?
Yeah, I went up to my old stomping grounds. Actually, our old stomping grounds in Mount Pleasant, CMU. Went and visited an old buddy for the weekend, and we went to a few bars and hung out. It was a good time.
The Bird?
We did, yeah. One of the bars we went to was the Bird.
One of my favorites. Yeah.
I'd highly recommend if anyone listening is ever in Mount Pleasant for any particular reason. The Bird it's an old school bar and grill downtown. It's a nice place.
Blackstone down the street too. That's one of my
Yes,
favorites.
we ended up there too after we got a little more intoxicated. But yes, it was a fun night. It was good. So Zuke, we brought you back for a particular reason. A couple of programs are hot right now.
Great weekend for Michigan baseball, softball as well. Both extending their win streaks. Baseball's up to 20 games now, so just 4 shy of their program record. Sweeping Penn State and covered the game on Friday, and it was 18-0 after the 4 innings. So they got off to a pretty good start.
It's a lot of W's in their Twitter handle.
I noticed.
Every time I scroll through, I'm like, what? Oh, wow, it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So they're playing well. They're playing really well. Obviously scoring 19 runs on Friday, 8. They won in 11 innings on Saturday. Squeeze bunt to win, 8-7, and then bats got going again on Sunday for a 14-2 win. So they're scoring runs, they're keeping the other team off the board, and they're aiming for that program record win streak, which is 24 games.
You had a story the other day, but what prompted this whole thing? Is it just momentum? Are they playing pro competition?
Well,
what's here?
Obviously starting off, the cold weather probably had something to do with it, but even when they were playing down south, bats weren't growing, and the pitching was struggling a little bit. Then their home opener, they lost to Lawrence Tech, an NAIA school. Everyone I talked to on Friday, they were embarrassed after that game, and rightfully so. And they kind of got things rolling since then. They've had a couple comeback victories late in the 9th inning, and when you're hot, you're hot. Things are working. They have the top recruiting class ever in program history this year, and there's some freshmen that are really starting to turn it on. Their first baseman, Jesse Franklin, hit 2 homers this weekend, has 8 on the year, left-handed bat with who's really turned it on. A local kid from Pioneer, Jordan Nuwagu, he's didn't start the year, but he's been in the lineup now for most of the season, and he's batting .339 in 27 games, and their pitching staff is one of the best in the Big Ten, maybe in the country, with their 3 starters. And Tommy Henry I saw on Friday, and he only gave up 1 hit in 5 innings. So they've got things going on both sides of the ball right now. So pitching, fielding, and hitting. So it's been
finally nice enough weather to get out to Fisher Field and Alumni Field as well. I don't know if there's certainly more to talk about with baseball if you want, but softball is once again. Seems to be
so they've won 14 in a row, but then going back, it's been 32 of their past 33 games they've won, which is, and they're doing it with a freshman pitcher that's one of the best, and she might be the best in the nation already. She threw her 3rd no-hitter of the season on Sunday and pitched 2 games over the weekend, gave up 1 total hit in 13 innings.
Pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive. So a pretty local kid, Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central, Megan Bobian. So she's in the hype, and it seems like it's well deserved right now. She's 27 wins on the year, 27-2, leading the nation in wins. Has a .74 ERA, so not too shabby.
It's pretty good when your ERA starts with 0 before the decimal.
Which is a little bit more common in softball than baseball, but still, when you're throwing like 10 shutouts, when you don't give up a run, you have a pretty good chance of winning.
Right, multiple no-hitters, sure. Now, just baseball for a second. Are they nationally ranked?
Baseball's not, because ironically enough, they're first undefeated in the Big Ten, but they don't play like the second team in the Big Ten, third team in the Big Ten, or the 15 fifth team in the Big Ten because of how the schedule works in baseball. So they don't play them throughout the regular season. So, I mean, that's one kind of criticism of them is their schedule hasn't, or especially the Big Ten schedule, isn't as tough.
Yeah.
So their RPI, they'll need to do well and probably win the Big Ten, do well in the tournament to make it to the NCAA regional. So.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Michigan softball is ranked. They're 14th in the nation. And they've 13-1 in the Big Ten, first place all by themselves over Indiana, who they face this weekend at Indiana. So that's should be a big series for them. 3-game series beginning on Friday.
Going to those games is fun. I mean, it's finally nice enough to really do it. That's
the
kind of
key,
the
right?
downside about Ann Arbor.
Same with like the Tigers. If it's nice out, I mean,
correct.
They're bad.
They are fun. Softball and baseball. I mean, Hutch is a living legend on this campus. So, that's fun stuff.
Yeah. So, obviously, baseball and softball are doing big things. Basketball has been in the news a little bit the last week.
There's been news, yeah. There's the deadline to declare for the draft came and went, I think, last night. So, Zuke, I don't know if you got your name in, if you're going to be declaring.
Next year.
Yeah, okay.
Another year of development, and then we'll see.
Gotcha. At least test the waters.
Yes,
that seems to be what everyone is doing.
I do have a couple of contacts, though, for agents, so they're waiting to hear.
Okay. Well,
see my development. They'll be following me closely.
If you were to do that, you'd be in good company. There's more than 150 early entrants into the NBA draft. So that's just players who still have college eligibility. That does not count the Luka Doncic's of the world, or Grayson Allen's, seniors. There's not many of them, but there's plenty, of international and senior players. So this is just underclassmen.
And then keep in mind, there's only 60 slots.
There's only 60 players that are going to get chosen. So this leads to, Charles Matthews. So Mo Wagner from Michigan already declared, signed an agent, fine, expected to get drafted in that early second round. Charles Matthews, redshirt sophomore, so still would have 2 years of eligibility at Michigan. He declared but did not sign an agent. So that means he can come back to Michigan if he wants. He's got until the end of May to withdraw his name if he wants to do that. But yeah, he's probably looking at the math and kind of realizing the numbers we just talked about, and seeing kind of where he fits in. Right now you look at these mock drafts. Some are more reliable than others, but basically if you're not seeing a name on any of these lists, it's probably fair enough to say they're not going to get chosen. I'm seeing him as a first rounder though next year potentially. Some of these sites do project all the way ahead to 2019. So yeah, if he's looking at that, he's probably going to come back. But at the same token, there's value in testing the water.
Right.
You go to the combine, you get officially evaluated by NBA teams. You get feedback of what you need to work on. Wagner last year, it was defense and rebounding, and he improved upon those things. You get to test your game against other, top end college talent. But there's not no downside. We asked Beeline about this a couple weeks ago, and Wagner too. Holes in your game can be exposed. Things that you're working on still. I mean, you're still developing these things. You're still 20, 21, 22 years old. You're still developing your game, and the NBA personnel might not know that you're still working on it, and they might just see you kind of struggle in a certain area and say, okay, geez, this guy isn't who we thought he was. Now, there's some areas that it's no secret that he needs to work on, which would be shooting, both from, the foul line when there's no defender and as well as, just three-point shot sort of in the flow of the offense. So, because he's got athleticism. This is Matthews we're talking about. Long arms, good defender, a good rebounder, can get to the hoop, but, from that wing spot in the NBA, you got to be able to shoot. So we'll see. That'll be the next step for him. But again, he's gonna hope to get an invite to this combine. At the very least, he can interview and work out for teams individually. But you can't just show up at the combine and participate. You do have to get invited. We're recording this here on the 23rd of April. Probably in a week or two, we'll learn the full list of players invited to the combine in Chicago in late May. And then, like I said, you then have another week before you have to, pull your name back. But that's where things stand with the current players.
But yeah, I mean, even if he does end up leaving, Michigan has some good players coming in for next year. Top 10 recruiting class.
They do. The major websites, recruiting websites, updated their their lists recently. It's not a final list. There's still a few players that are undecided, but things shouldn't change too much. And they're number 8 in both the 24/7 Sports composite and the Rivals ranking. They're 15 on ESPN, which I'm not going to knock the ESPN rankings. I know Aaron can probably speak to this in football. They're always a little different. They kind of go out on a limb, and if you look at individual players, sometimes they're just not as accurate, I would say. But as a team ranking, it's just another one to look at, and they're 15 in that. It's not like they're 50 or something. So they're still good. Maryland and Michigan State are right up there in the Big Ten. I think Michigan is the best in the Big Ten on one of those sites, but behind Maryland and another. But 3 top 100 kids. Iggy Brazdeikis is right now the top ranked. He's number 36. And ESPN does not rank him. So he's Canadian, so he's not part of their ranking.
Oh,
so
he's Canadian,
that can factor in. They're not giving him a fair shake. But so there's a lot to like. This is we saw what the big time recruiting classes did for Michigan basketball in that 2012, 13, 14 years. And now then you saw sort of the unheralded recruits with guys like DJ Wilson and all the players from this year's team, honestly, from Abdul Rahman to Wagner to Duncan Robinson, contributors who weren't even on these lists at all. Yeah. But still, when you can get the better talent, it's better. It's better than
definitely helps.
Have a good foundation. Mm-hmm. So to have a top 10 class and one of the best in the Big Ten, considering who they bring back, guys like Jordan Poole, Isaiah Livers, there's a lot to like about Michigan basketball.
And for Michigan football, spring practice is about to wrap up, and there was a little bit of an incident with a former player and Jim Harbaugh that kind of took to social media this past week.
Yeah, a lot has been going on the last week. Michigan wraps up spring practice. Their final one is Tuesday, so we're recording this on Monday. So they're about to wrap up before their trip to France. They depart on Thursday. But yeah, you mentioned.
When do you depart? Because you're headed there too.
Yeah, fly out Thursday night, flying out of Toronto. So we get in Friday morning, and that's when the team lands. I think from what I understand, it's a relatively open day for the team on Friday. But after that, it's literally, a 9 to 5 thing all day, every day. They got a lot going on, a lot on the schedule. It should be a good trip. But yeah, you mentioned the player. I don't want to dive into this too much because we don't have all the facts around this, and it's important to keep in mind that, that nothing. This player hasn't been charged or arrested or anything. So, I'm going to kind of beat around the bush here. But a former player, former linebacker Lisa Bossi has been named. It was his Twitter account that came out, but going back last weekend, that he sent out some, I'll use menacing, cryptic, whatever descriptor you want to use, some tweets that he was unhappy with his role or lack thereof with the Michigan football program. We come to find out last Monday that he departed the team in mid-November. No reason was given, but he had some threatening tweets. He tagged Jim Harbaugh in one of them. We spoke with the University of Michigan Police Department. They said they were investigating the social media posts from him, from his Twitter account. But it's important to keep in mind, no one's been arrested here. No one's been charged with a crime. Mbasi did come out.
He did apologize.
He did, Sunday morning. Yeah, he came out. His Twitter account, which last check was locked. He has since blocked me, and I assume he's blocked several other reporters, so we can't actually see his account unless you log out and look at it publicly. But he posted a pretty lengthy apology on Sunday morning. I'll read it in part at least, but he writes, "I take full responsibility for the tweets I made regarding the safety of Coach Harbaugh, which I apologize fully for." And then he goes into a long diatribe. He felt like he's been harassed by the police department. He feels like he's been unfairly treated. In his tweets last week, he indicated that he had been suspended from the program. There was no really reason given. We still haven't gotten an answer from Michigan or anyone involved. So it's been a real dicey situation. At the end of the day, bottom line, he's not on the team anymore apparently. He's not happy about that, and there's apparently some issues there. Michigan isn't really speaking. We talked with Ward Manuel, the athletic director, late last week. He expressed concern over the situation, as has Jim Harbaugh, as have other people. But again, it's important to remember no crime, I guess, has been, the police have deemed that no crime has been committed at this point.
It was a bizarre situation.
Yeah.
It wasn't a good look for Michigan football, I
No,
guess,
it's almost embarrassing, you know? It's
Right.
like, but yeah, it was, apparently it's been handled, or at least so far it's been handled, and they're moving on from at this point.
Now on the field, I think the focus is still on the quarterbacks, it seems, with
Yeah.
coming down to the wire
It
here.
has, yeah. We spoke with Pep Hamilton, the assistant head coach and passing game coordinator, on Sunday. It was our final, you know, what we in the media call availability with the players, or with the program. That's when Michigan, you know, brings out coaches and our players to speak with reporters. It was our last chance to talk with them before we head to France. But we spoke with Hamilton at length. I'd say 10 to 12 minutes. We, you know, asked about the quarterback situation. He basically boiled it down to they haven't seen anyone emerge. They've got 3 in theory right now with Shea Patterson, the transfer from Ole Miss, who we spoke at length about. Brandon Peters, a returning starter, and then you've got the redshirt freshman, Dylan McCaffrey. All 3 are receiving, they're still getting equal reps at this point. They're still, rotating in with the first team, so they're all getting looks. They're all getting healthy amount of snaps. They're all getting plenty of experience. But, you know, Hamilton made an interesting point. You know, somebody asked him yesterday on Sunday, you know, if he wanted, you know, to see someone take the lead to see if, you know, a quarterback take the lead by this point, and he said, yeah, I would have preferred that yesterday. You know, it was obviously a joking matter, and keep in mind, Hamilton was very vocal last fall when Michigan was rotating through the quarterbacks, unsure of who was going to start, whether it was Peters or Corn late in the season. You know, Hamilton was pretty adamant about expressing the desire to have someone going into this season. He wanted Michigan to find their quarterback, go into a, you know, spring practice and a fall camp having their guy, you know, set. They don't have that again, and it sounds like it's going to again spill over into the summer workouts and then fall camp. Now, part of this is me reading into this, but, you know, he spoke glowingly about Patterson. He says his arms look very good. His feet have helped extend plays, something you haven't seen from Michigan quarterbacks in the last few years with regularity. So it sounds like they like Shea Patterson, but again, there's the looming decision with the NCAA, which could go either way. And if they in fact do rule that he cannot play, then Michigan's got to take another avenue here.
But they're giving him reps as if he can play. I mean, his
Correct.
reps wouldn't be more if they knew he was, or I mean, they'd probably be less if they knew he wasn't. But,
right, exactly.
But
they've treated him just like everyone else. He's same treatment. But that's a good point you brought up, and it's something I've discussed here quite a bit. You know, from Michigan's standpoint, not knowing Patterson's eligibility going into this spring could, you know, in a way, it could hurt them because, you know, if say he is ruled ineligible, then, you know, those are snaps that could have went to Peters, could have went to McCaffrey. Joe Milton could have gotten more, the true freshman. If he was ruled eligible and Michigan was in fact, you know, happy with Patterson, or if they think he was the guy, they could have given more. So Michigan's in an interesting spot right now. I'm sure from a coaching standpoint, they're probably frustrated. They haven't said that. Pep Hamilton was asked whether he was frustrated over the lack of ruling. He wouldn't say. But I'd assume from a coaching standpoint and going through spring practice, they would have liked to have more clarity in the situation.
Is there any end in sight when the NCAA will finally rule?
I think we're getting close. I want to say this week, maybe next. I mean, I haven't gotten that on the record from anyone, but you know, they've had this now for almost a week now. All the data, all the documents they need. You know, Ole Miss obviously gave its response, and we had a story last week, but Shea Patterson actually responded to the response. So he was, you know, clearly unhappy as well with Ole Miss's response. But at the end of the day, everything is with the NCAA at this point. We haven't gotten, again, there's been no timeline of decision, but I'd assume now it's literally any day now. And with spring practice wrapping up and things starting to slow down, I think we'll get an answer here relatively soon.
We've seen public perception, though, sway these kind of decisions. It does seem to make a difference, whether it's with a coach putting, you know, restrictions on a player where he can transfer, or the NCAA, you know, dragging their feet. We're seeing national media now weigh in. You see a Jay Billis tweet, and it does matter. We've seen it in the past affect, you know, the more voices that join the fray, and right or wrong. I'm not saying, you know, there should be campaigning for this kid to play. It is a weird situation.
It is. And we were on a conference call, I think it was late last week with Kirk Herbstreit. It was about the NFL draft, but somebody did chime in and asked him his opinion on the Shea Patterson matter. Keep in mind, Herbstreit, Ohio State grad, you know, but he is a college football analyst, and he seems to be pro player in a lot of these situations. He was the same way. Let him play. Like, I don't know what we're waiting on. He was in he called it tumultuous situation at Ole Miss. So he felt like Shea Patterson should be able to play. He's like, I don't know what we're waiting on. Let's just make the rule and let's move on. Because I think it's unfair to everyone involved in the situation. Like I said, Shea not knowing, and keep in mind he's just a kid. He's a junior in college. I know from my standpoint, I'm getting almost every day now. I'm getting asked questions about Shea Patterson, whether or not he's going to play. I can only imagine what he's getting every day, whether it's his classmates, his family, his friends. People walking down the street talking to him and recognize him. He has to deal with this all the time too, and it's something I asked Hamilton on Sunday about whether how he thinks Shea's handling this all mentally, and he wouldn't give me an answer. But I'd assume it's weighing on him to some degree. I mean, this isn't something a typical college athlete goes through. Typically, and I've written this before, guys who transfer obviously have to stay out here, but he's made an interesting case. He has a unique case in this, and there's a lot going on there.
Real quick, NFL draft coming up here shortly.
Thursday.
Michigan Wolverines projections for some of the players?
3 guys I'm looking at right now that could potentially be drafted, and it's not just me, but it is draft prognosticators and those top analysts that are saying the same thing. You've got Maurice Hurst, defensive tackle. He's projected right now late first round, early second. I'm leaning toward probably an early second after the whole EKG situation at the combine. I'm sure it didn't help the situation. Keep in mind, he has been cleared. He's healthy. He's gone through workouts, and he participated at Michigan's Pro Day. So all signs point to him going early. Whether it's first or second round, we'll see. I think it comes down to needs as well. I think Maurice Hurst he's a 4-3 defensive tackle. He's not going to work in a 3-4 scheme. He's undersized. So he's not going to fit at the nose tackle position. So it's going to come down to, I think, feelings from teams on his health and need. If a team needs a defensive tackle in a 4-3 scheme and he's available, they'll probably take him. So whether he falls first, second round remains to be seen, but he will no doubt, I think, be the first Michigan guy taken. After that, Mason Cole. He played left tackle, obviously, last season, but he looks like he's going to play guard or center in the NFL. That seems to be all the projections at this point. I asked Mel Kiper about him last week in the draft conference call. He said 3rd, 4th round at this point. He's probably 2 or 3 in terms of the center pecking order in the NFL draft. He's another guy that he's been knocked a little bit for being undersized and a little slow. But again, he's reliable. He's always healthy. He started every game in his Michigan career. He's a good kid. He's very smart. So he's got a lot working for him with that regard. And then the third person I'm looking at is Mike McCray. He's kind of more of a mystery at this point. I asked Mel Kiper about him as well last week. He thinks he's going to go 5th or 6th round. If you would ask me the same question, before the combine and before all these events, I'd say, McCray might have been a late guy if not unsigned. Or went unsigned. But I think he participated in the combine. He had a really good Senior Bowl. He excelled in practice. He had a really good game, so I think that helped his stock to some degree. He was able to put some more film and work together in front of NFL coaches. So he's probably a late guy. And then you've got guys floating around. You've got Khalid Hill. You've got Henry Poggi. You've got Shane Morris, the former quarterback up at Central Michigan. So you've got a lot of Michigan-tied guys who could, in theory, get signed as well.
Yeah, their agents' phones may be ringing after the draft.
Exactly.
First round is Thursday for the draft?
Thursday's first round. Friday is 2nd and 3rd, I believe it is, and then Saturday is the rest of the draft.
So by the time we convene next week, we'll have a lot more answers on that.
We will.
Michigan baseball and softball will both be looking to extend their winning streaks this coming weekend. So we'll have a lot to talk about moving forward. Appreciate everyone tuning in this week. Check back next week for more Wolverines coverage.